Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Friday Night Live. My name is Kesh. I've got Mark. We've got producer Ryan in the back. Let's see how long he pays attention for. There's another Friday. Guys, we got to make sure. I just realized I watched a couple of videos. I look tired on a Friday, dude.
No different now.
No different now. I got a fresh. I think I got to take Thursdays off just to look good here. But jokes apart, welcome to this episode. We're very, very excited to have you watching. Now, today's topic is going to be dealing with competition.
Yep.
Now, Mark, some people watching this might think, you are crazy. What competition? The market's correcting. It's crashing. Everything is going sideways. But the reality is, and this is not going to be good news, I think, for a lot of people because the RBA is not liking this news coming up. The market is going up. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about how to really secure property if you're out there in the marketplace, because the number one complaint I'm getting from a lot of people, funnily enough, is not investors, is owner-occupiers, because they are sick and tired of rents going up. And they're going, you know what? I don't care if the interest rates are 10%. I'm going to buy something now because their rents and mortgage are getting pretty close in a lot of places. Now, before we jump in and we talk about tricks of the trade, how to deal with the competition, how to be prepared, I just want to share with you guys the June report from CBA. So this is not me. For our members who are our beloved JR Prosperity family, send us an email. You know who we are, and we'll get a copy sent to you. If you aren't working with us as yet, get in touch, and we'll make sure you get a copy as well. We're not here. We're not short on sharing the love. Now, coming back to this. So, home prices lift strongly in May. Main challenge has been supply and demand imbalance. Okay.
Yep.
Now, I'm just going to read out the highlights. Dwelling prices rose by a strong 1.4% across 8 capital cities in May. This is the third consecutive month. So every city is on its way up. Prices rose solidly in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, and Adelaide. Values also increased in all other capital cities and combined regions. Prices have now risen by 2.8% since February. Okay. Remarkably turnaround, given the RBA increased the cash rate by 25 basis points in February. March and May have taken the cash rate to 3.85%. So despite this, and again, guys, I've said this, next year the interest rates are going to be coming back. That's my little crystal ball. But despite even the RBA increase, we can see there is a massive, and we've been talking about this for a very, very long time, shortage in supply. So a lot of people out there, a lot of people buying real estate, and it is hard to get a deal. We're in fact helping one of our colleagues through a buyer's agency to acquire something in Sydney, and it has been a dogfight. It has been a dogfight. So again, a lot of things in this report, very, very interesting insights, if I may add, and I'm going to repeat myself. If you are a JR client, you're part of the family, let us know. I'll send you the latest report that I am talking about. Mark, coming to you, mate. You have been doing some fantastic work negotiating deals for clients. So if someone wasn't using your services or our services, if I may say, what tips could you give them? How does one really, really deal in a competitive market like today and actually get their offer across?
Look, it's interesting taking a step back to what you just mentioned before in regards to, the market. Is it really crashing? Not really. And we see this, I guess, on a day-to-day basis where right now we're not seeing someone go from, I'll give you, okay, I'm a vendor and I want $1 million for a property to sell my property. And someone says, I really want this property. I'm giving you 1.2, right? 20% increase within a matter of minutes, let's just say. We're not seeing those type of jumps at the moment, if ever again, right? But let's just say for now, at the moment, we're not seeing that. What we are seeing, though, is small incremental increases. So 1%, 2%, 3%. Look at the statistics. Real estate in certain pockets of the country, even in the last quarter, has risen by 3, 4, 5%, right? It's one of these things where what we're as a nation right now, because of what we've experienced, we are expecting to think that growth is in the form of 10, 15, 20% and above consistently.
This is the most
Not
dangerous form of growth, dude. It
Correct.
is like under the radar.
Inflationary style growth, let's just call it, where it's media hype, right? Simply put. It does correct, it does come back down, and it comes back down to, where it should have been, which is a nice steady 5, 6, 7%, whatever it may be, right? And again, I'm talking very, very general here, but I think that's what we're seeing. And even, with the small little bids in the offers, the credit squeeze at the moment with the banks and whatnot is making life harder for people in order to, borrow more. So their borrowing capacities are dropping, and it's a matter of $1,000 here, $1,000 there in order to get the deal across the line. It's crazy, right? We're dealing in literally increments of $1,000 to $2,000 at one time.
I'll tell you about $1,000, $2,000, right? So just back of the report, Sydney's median house price is 1.2, whatever it is now, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, whatever it is. On $1 million, and I'm going to do this on camera, that's $1 million, if you guys can see this, right? 2.8% increase is $28,000. For me to have $28,000 in my account, okay, $28,000 in my account, at an average tax rate of 30%, that's what I got to earn. So you're telling me I got to earn almost $40,000, give or take. How long does it take someone to earn 40 for the average Australian, right? Someone earning $70,000 a year. Right, that's 50% of they're going 6 months, 6 months. We often, because we work in real estate, we look at large numbers and deposits and this and deposit bonds, like all these sort of things. For us, 100, 200, they've become very normal numbers.
Yeah.
But when you really think about you might go, it's only 2.8%. But the reality is 2.8%. For an average Australian is having to have an extra $40,000 in income that year.
Look, I think...
how many of you are saving $40,000 extra?
I'm going to go back to the question you just asked before, which led us on this tangent here. Dealing with, let's say, competition in a market which is supposed to be, right, a smorgasbord of opportunity. It's supposed to be a time now where we can just, as investors or buyers, let's say, I will take that, and that, and I'm going to put 50 different offers, and all 50 are going to come back to me and tell me take my property.
Doesn't exist.
It's not going to anytime soon. If ever, to be fair with you, especially from now moving forward.
Oh, mate, there's no supply.
This real estate, Australian real estate, let's just say, and again, I'm not saying all of Australia, but let's just say, the solid parts of real estate in this country, like you said, there's no supply.
Sydney,
number one,
Melbourne, Brisbane,
but it's just not going anywhere, right? And it's going to become worse and worse and worse from an affordability standpoint, as we consistently say, almost week in, week out here, right? But more importantly, I think, how do we deal with competition, in this market? Simply put, you really just got to kind of foresee now and almost take a little bit of, let's say, a sprinkle of 2021 and put it into context now and say, take that and say, I'm going to overbid what they're asking for now. Yeah, I get it. You want to get value and things like that. But the reality is the way that the market is slowly creeping, and then once it hits that boom period again.
Yeah, and they're going to be like, oh my God, the market's up 40%. Who knew?
It makes sense. You can start to understand now, okay, it's not the end of the world if I pay 5-10 grand over asking price.
But what is over? There's no over. If you have gone into the marketplace and there are 10 buyers trying to buy a property and the asking price was $1.6 million and you had to pay 1.625, that wasn't over because the 2.5 came from, look, as much as I love you real estate agent guys and we as buyers agent, we deal with a lot with you, nothing against you. But a lot of real estate agents live in this misconception of, oh yeah, I got the best price for this property. The reality is the property was cracker. There was serious competition. All you did was pick up the phone and take orders, essentially, in a lot of times.
I think as well, I want to make it super clear here, at least from my experience over the years. You need to see yourself in two parts. If you are a serious investor that wants to, start developing real estate within your portfolio, buying real estate to to hold on to, let's just say acquire and hold and look at the long-term picture, you make a very valid point. What is overs, right? Because the intention is to hold it for a long period of time An extra 100, 200,000 is not going to affect you if you can afford to hold, right, with that additional on top, but just to secure that property. But let's look at the other side of the fence, being a developer. One wrong move when it comes to a purchase price, that's when you're in hot water.
But see, with the developer, the way they're looking at it is they are paying overs for, let's just say, all right, so let's say I buy a block of land and I want to build a house. Or house and land, people like to call it, right? You might pay $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 extra for better finishes, blah, blah, blah. That's different. What a developer is trying to do is take a piece of land that technically, generally speaking, people buy a block of land and build a house. This guy's going, wait a minute, this is a 2,000 meter block of land. It's got a house on it. But what I can see here is 8 townhouses. Now, this guy's doing fee zone 8 townhouses and then making an offer attractive enough to a seller who's not silly anymore. They understand zoning changes. They understand the value of their property. They understand what they can get per unit developed on the site. It's not the back old days where you just tell anyone anything and they'd believe it, right?
That's right.
So yes, I understand that perspective. But for the everyday buyer, I think the biggest thing, me personally, I call it ready to buy. What is ready to buy? I'll break it down for you. Have you worked out what you can borrow?
Yep.
In my opinion, in my personal opinion and my experience of buying multiple properties, having a very, very good superstar broker, and again, respectfully, there's some good agents out there, there's some bad real estate agents out there, there's some good brokers, bad brokers, accountants, doctors, everything. Having a good superstar investment specialist broker, even if you're trying to buy your own house, go to an investment specialist broker because they are sharks when it comes to getting the best loan structures, lending, how to represent yourself. That's number one. Be very, very clear in what you can borrow.
Yep.
Get a funding position calculation done. How much should be my contribution?
Yep.
Right? I don't care about a pre-approval. If you go to a gun broker, in most cases, you can skip I've never gotten a pre-approval because I've got a gun broker. When he says, Kesh, you can borrow XYZ 1.5 million, you can borrow 400,000, you can borrow 10 million, whatever it is, we're $5,000 here or there. $5,000 here or there. Mind you, yes, things can change, interest rates can change in the time you acquire the property. Your calculations might change. These are risks that happen. But again, a gun broker will pick up the phone and say, hey, Mark, listen, we run these numbers. Have you secured your property as yet? No. Mate, listen, I worked this out. Interest rates, RB has just announced X, Y, and Z. If you were looking at a $800,000 property, now you've got to be looking at something closer to $730,000. That's what a gun broker would do.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. Not only a gun broker, but let's just say a gun investor knows that they need to understand their numbers, top priority before anything else. And you have hit the nail on the head, Kesh, by saying a funding table. Now, this is obviously something that, let's say...
I love the smile on your face. I walked into this Mark Vittori's face.
Spiderweb. Look, in all seriousness, though, I mean, it's very, very important because I think at the end of the day, I mean, we do it for our clients all the time, right? On a let's say a very simplified scale. It's all good and well to say, I've got, how much? Okay, let me take a step back. A lot of people, how many times do we hear them say, how much do I need to get into the market, right? And we say, okay, well, depends on what we can buy.
Nothing free. Yeah. I'll show you how to do a no money down deal for a $50,000 course.
But now let's take another step back, a step forward here, is that you can get into the market at any price, let's just say, all right? But more importantly, at what price are we getting into the market, all right? And what are we purchasing? What do we need? We might have $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, $1 million. Again, all good and well. We've got all of this stuff sitting around. We've got all this cash here. But what are we buying with it? And how best are we to utilize that cash in different avenues? All right. And what I mean by that is, are we better off looking at, let's say, 2 smaller acquisitions, or are we better off looking at something that's a much longer growth play, as an example? More blue chip or less blue chip, whatever it may be, as an example, right? And getting that clarity comes from the funding table.
It does.
Because what am I tipping in? How much am I up for in stamps? Stamp duty, unfortunately, with some, let's say, less than average developers over the years, what I've seen, has caught them out big time. Big time. Of course, they run their numbers real quick, yes, so on and so forth. But at the same time, they have a look at it and say, well, I forgot to factor in this and this and this, and if I can roll this here. And it's like, look, at the end of the day, stamps are stamps. Well, there you go.
Yeah, this is just a random. I was listening to you all the way.
Yeah, I know. I was just
but you were on the right part. Okay, so when you said, and people will be like, "What do you mean you can get on the market at any price?"
Yeah,
this is just a random search. I don't even know where this is. $120,000 to $140,000 for a 1-bed, 1-bath, 2-car, 55-meter square unit, in a pocket in Perth. Right now, I'm not saying this is the best property and this is where you should start from, and this is it, but you're right in a way. There is price points for everything. But
yeah, there is. And the funding table, again, going back to the key point here, whether we went on tangents or not, but it is super important. Map out what all of your costs look like up front. Let that be the determining factor on exactly what it is you're going to buy.
Correct.
Simple.
Correct.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Dude, I did a TikTok the other day, which went really, really well. Shameless plug. But I worked out what does it actually cost to buy a property?
Yep.
What percentage you got to use? And also there was a little bit of a piece about outgoing repayments, right? So interest rates are 5.5% at 80% LVR, for example, or 8.5%. So 2% variation. Someone will go, oh, it's only 2%. What is the impact on the monthly outgoing? What is the impact on long term? Now, often if you buy in good real estate as investors, we're not too fast. Might go into negative gearing category. Fair enough. Doesn't matter. Sometimes there's a cost of owning real estate, and you get it back in tax anyway, right? It works out that way. But when it came to owner-occupier stuff, the question was, if your mortgage goes from $5,000 to $7,000 and you're looking for this property, are you going to be comfortable with it? It's not about, hey, it's a $625,000 property. I paid $650 for it. The 25 grand's not going to make barely any difference on your repayments, right? It's if the 625 mortgage or the 650 mortgage is at 5.5, 8.5, can you afford it? Because the reality is with interest rates high, supply low, the rent's only going to keep climbing. Because a tenant doesn't have a choice. Landlords cannot just up rent. I can't just up the rent on you going, you know what, Mark? You're going to be paying $800 instead of $400 next week. And you're going to be like, stuff you, mate. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to rent the neighbor's house. There's 58. But when you leave the house and you tell me I'm not going to pay you, you realize there's no properties out there, right? Now there's a fraction of customers. Oh, actually, I wouldn't call it fraction. A very large percentage of customers in the marketplace who are generally new to the country. When I say new, been here for the last 5-8 years, are professionals earning $300 or $1,000, and we've talked about this before. They're getting a little bit of money from overseas, $200,000-$300,000, and making a $6,000 or $7,000 monthly repayment in the suburbs doesn't feel that hard. So you might sit here and go, oh, who's going to pay $1.7 million for X, Y, and Z? It's not worth it. You can say that and leave. That house still sells. You can complain. You can whinge about it. You can sit and watch the ABC News or 60 Minutes or whichever, I don't know, Negative Nelly is out there having a cry. The reality is it's the jungle. When the lion's hungry, the lion eats.
That's right.
And that's what's happening. And that's why at every price point today, dude, like when you ask someone, hey, do you want to pay $1,000 a week in rent? Or $1,400 a week in your mortgage repayments? And they go, you know what? Stuff going out for dinner. Cancel my Bali holiday. Won't upgrade my car. I'm sick of my landlord. Right? By the way, I'm a pretty good landlord. I send Christmas cards and bottles of wine and stuff, right? But stuff my landlord. And I'll just go buy because I can afford to. I've got the borrowing power to. I'm going to go out there and buy something. If I can't buy a house, I'll buy a townhouse. I can't buy a townhouse, I'll buy an apartment. But I will buy. And this will continue to carry on. So for me, the funding table is the most powerful thing because you can go out there and you can compete with confidence.
That's a good point. I was actually going to say we started off with competition and led into funding tables, and we've spoken a lot about funding tables. But that again is another amazing point, Kesh, that the fact that a simple task, upfront task, let's say, gives you,
Dude, this is a team sport.
Years of forecast, let's say, right?
It's a team sport. It is a team sport. Investing or buying your own home is a team sport. Having a broker on your side, having a solicitor who gets it is a team sport. Now, there's a shameless plug, but this is very, very true. Having a professional represent you and shotless properties, organized private inspections and times, wink, wink, right, is the same. And often people ask me this, right? Investors, different story, because we bring immense value to investors when it comes. So I'm not even going to debate that. But for owner occupiers who already know where they want to buy, what their budget is, you're not really pointing them to the right location. Producer Ryan making noises. Yay! No, but you are essentially becoming their professional negotiator and not necessarily getting them the cheapest property at this stage, but getting them access. Private inspections. And I often say this. So when you fly in a plane, let's assume this is a plane and we're flying, right? You're flying. The plane is divided into I was going to use a bad word. The plane is divided into normal people flying in economy. Then you got premium economy, you got business class, and then you got first class suites. Now, people sitting in economy, a large majority of them will be like, oh, the guys up front are idiots. I've paid $1,000. They've paid $5,000 or whatever, $15,000 or $20,000. And the plane's going to still land there the same, right? Mm-hmm. But they both are going to arrive to the destination feeling very, very different, even though they're on the same plane. It's the same thing, especially for owner occupiers. If you have an investment specialist broker, you're getting the big guns now. Investment specialist brokers, most cases, doesn't cost you anything.
Yep.
A buyer's agent upfront would be anywhere from $700 to $2,000, depending on what you want to do. And then there's the success fees after, whatever it is, right? But you're getting someone who's got great relationships, giving you access to deals before they go to market. You're getting VIP access pre-open, and you get an opportunity. This is not even about getting the cheapest property, but you're getting an opportunity to put in your bid, which a real estate agent has to legally present to the owner before the open house or pre-auction and make something happen. And is that worth something? To me, it is. 100% to me, it is. And this is with no bias. This 100% to me, it is.
I agree. I think at the end of the day, again, look, trying to keep it as flatline as possible, no bias here. You want someone on your side to get you a value add, right? And that doesn't just apply to, buying real estate. What about when you're developing real estate as well? You want to have someone on your side that enables
another layer on top of your builder, like
correct,
a project manager.
Yeah, someone that's overseeing and making sure that, you're not bleeding money. Because I think at the end of the day, you need to look at utilizing a professional as a bit of a plug in a bucket, simply put, all right, is that they're there to stop the bleeding. Because it's very easy for, let's say, in this instance, a real estate agent, right, to sit down with you. You're the purchaser. I'm an investor, no emotions attached. And then they start pulling at the heartstrings accordingly, and I've seen it. You've seen it many times.
I used to be a real estate agent. I played the game.
Well, there you go. Right. So, it's one of those things where as much as people think that they've got, no strings attached or no emotion involved in this, and I'm happy to walk away, it automatically starts to creep in anyway, regardless, because the more you keep looking at this piece of real estate, you keep thinking about, oh, look, it's, it'd be great in my portfolio, something I can show my mates, oh, I bought this, investment, I bought this, it feels good. And we're only human, right? But at the same time, having that degree there of separation, let's say, to hold you out. And it also gives, let's say, the opposing side as well, a no bullshit type of scenario, just saying, hey, listen, we're here to do business. We want to do a deal. Let's do a transaction. Let's not muck around.
Oh, dude.
Win-win for everyone.
In my personal experience, when I've dealt with real estate agents on behalf of other people, right? And I'm specifically talking, forget even real estate, whether it's builders, developers, any party that has real estate that we want.
Yep.
And I've just had far better conversations with these guys because the guys on the other side know that we're from the industry and we get it.
Yep.
We're fair. We're out there to make a deal. We're not here to waste anyone's time, and they know we come prepared. So when I make an offer, even if it's low ball sometimes, they would consider it very, very seriously because they know I will execute. If I say I'm going to settle it in 2 weeks, I'm going to settle it in 2 weeks with my client or even myself. Because we are prepared. We're prepared for the exams. We're very clear in what we want. We've done the market research. We know what is worth paying for and what is not. Even in one suburb, 4 streets could make a difference.
Yep.
High side, low side of the street could make a difference.
Yep.
The reasons for selling could make a difference. That often a real estate agent would be like, oh, they're just upgrading. They're just moving. They don't, unless someone's died in the house, they really don't have to tell you. Right? So again, in a market like today, that clearly is moving. And this is not me. This is the CBA report. And again, I repeat myself, those of you who are watching this on the JR channels, on our closed Facebook group, whatever it might be, if you're a JR client, send us an email. We'll make sure the report comes to you. Your competitive advantage starts from, like Mark said, a funding table. If you don't know what that is, put it in the comments. We'll give you an example. The second advantage comes from having the right team behind you, whether it's buyers agents, investment specialist brokers. And third, being very, very clear with what you can get.
Yep.
Would you agree? Anything else to add?
Spot on.
No?
Again, keep it simple.
Keep
Don't
it simple.
complicate things.
Kiss. That's it. All right. I reckon this is a wrap. That was sweet and sharp. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Friday Night Live. We're not going to be doing Rapid Robins because our friend here, Sean, had to run for a meeting. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye for now.